Place podcast.
Yes.
Hey. I am your host, Deborah Faith. And who we got in the building today?
They call me the Juice Girl.
Amber, Juice Girl Dixon, as usual, y'all fave. She don't get to hear all this good stuff shit y'all be saying to me about her. But
I do hear some of the comments. It's actually hilarious, guys. Thank you. I love that you love me.
Yeah.
I hope you guys know I be serious.
She really be serious. But I am so happy to be back this season.
Me too.
This season 2.
Yeah.
And what a way to start the year, evolving.
Yeah.
Right? So I love that theme for the year, even though it was kind of on incident, but really on purpose, I guess.
I feel like, but you know what? 2020 and 2021 were workshop years for me, so the evolution is good.
Yeah.
It feels good, too.
I feel like
I feel good.
2020, 2021, I feel like somebody was like breaking up all foundation.
Yeah.
And like this is like me like really like going through all of that and being like, dang, ooh.
I definitely feel like I've reinvented myself.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel like I'm reinventing myself. But
You
like,
should, because you're always growing, girl.
Word. But like I definitely feel like I see the transition. I see the
You see the growth.
I see my growth.
Don't it feel good?
Sometimes. Sometimes not all everyone y'all know I'm a bliggity block queen.
But growth is good. Growth has been good in the show. Like we've got so much more. Y'all, hey, wait a minute, y'all. I need them to go. First of all, let's stop. We need them to go. We need them to subscribe.
Okay.
To the YouTube.
Okay.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Cast. We are on Spotify. Oh, and we got. Did I tell you this?
What?
We got accepted into this program where Spotify is now offering video too.
Oh.
So my Spotify listeners. It's raining outside, so I got on the hat today, y'all. But
wearing my natural.
bad hair day. But now they can watch the videos too.
Oh no.
So we are trying as much as we are giving value. Good. We love that people are subscribing and. We bringing on, y'all know y'all dope in here, but this season we bringing on guests from out of state too.
I'm so excited for you for that.
I'm so excited.
I love the evolution of your show.
I was about to say, I feel like the show is evolving. I'm evolving. Mm-hmm. The guests that I'm bringing on this season are, of course, the magnificent ones that I've already had some of those, but there are so many. This 2021, it was such a evolution in my personal growth. And I think in all of those mentorships and coaching programs that I've had, like I met some dope people. I love how you're investing in yourself. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, look, my mentor says, like, change the dynamic of, like, we live in a culture, right, that we invest more in what we put on ourselves. We're always worried about how we look and how our hair doing and what earrings and stuff we got on. But, like, the real investment is really investing in you.
Yep.
And I have seen the growth. I have felt the stretching. Let me tell y'all, I felt the stretching. And not always easy, but worth it. Worth it. So we are evolving, y'all.
Yay.
And I thought this would be a great topic today to talk about EQ, emotional intelligence. Because
is laughing an emotion?
It's expression of emotion.
Expression of emotion.
Right?
Okay.
So
sometimes the laugh comes from what?
Yeah, I mean,
like, who can't get no worse than this?
As you thought it would.
Exactly.
My emotional intelligence, I think I was blessed in that area to a certain extent. Always to have a outlook of wisdom and discernment and kind of being able to manage my own emotions to a certain extent, right? And identify them. But more so, I think I was more aware of other people's emotions more than myself. You know what I mean? I'm an empath, so just like I could walk in a room and be like, ooh, I don't know what's going on with them. But you know what I mean? Like I would feel almost other people's emotions. But this year, girl, in my mentorship programs and my my coaching programs, it has stretched like how I see emotional intelligence and my EQ. And it's been like, oh, I'm kind of good in this area, but I'm either, and one of my coaches says this, either you're usually on one spectrum or the other, usually aggressive in that space, like, right? So you like learn your boundaries.
It's me, I'm aggressive.
You can be in certain areas, but I love, right? So you can be aggressive, but I also struggle with like passive aggressiveness in certain areas, right?
Now I still have that, but it's not as strong anymore. Like, I think where my emotional intelligence began is being confident enough to say how I feel, doing the best of my ability to communicate how I feel, without fear of the response of how I feel. Because I mean what I feel. Like, you get what I'm saying?
No,
I do think you have a responsibility on how you communicate that. But ultimately, I shouldn't have to fear telling you exactly how I feel, because I think a lot of that comes from not wanting to see the outcome of what that is.
Definitely.
And for me, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. Like we've talked about in the previous season, I have a very flock or flee personality. Either people cling to it because it's good, it's whatever to them, because I'm over that. I know I'm a good person, but I'm over trying to prove it. I'm going to either be a good person to you or not for you, and that's okay. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because I just want to be for who I'm for, not for everybody.
And that alone is growth. So I want to go back to something that you said, like people being fearful of expressing those feelings. Do you think that comes from childhood? Like, do you think that's something with, you know how like as a kid, and I know in my home, and probably a lot of people's home, right? Kids were to be seen and not heard, right? So you don't feel like you have a voice. So when you do, that transfers into your adulthood. So do you think that in any way came from childhood, or where do you think that stemmed from? Because I know where mine did.
So, my parents are two very different people, and I am the combination of them both.
Okay.
My mother is extremely empathic, mad cool, super, she was down to earth. My dad is tell her how it is, blunt, not afraid to speak his mind. And I'm thankful for my parents because they've always allowed me to be expressive.
Okay.
Like, even when I was in school and I might have had conflict with like teachers and students and stuff like that, and my father would always defend me, like, don't break her spirit.
I love that.
And because he defended me in that way, I kind of carry that, like, saying in my head all of the time and not allow people to break my spirit.
Yeah.
Meaning that if I'm loud, so what? Like, if I'm outspoken, so what? If I'm not hurting people, like, you get what I'm saying? My mom always said that Amber is so opinionated. Like, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm not hurting people and I'm doing more helping than hurting, then it's okay. So I can't personally say it's a childhood thing. What I think is just where the fear comes from is nobody likes conflict. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, like, for... You know, I have friendships. We have our friendship, and we've had conflict sometimes.
People wouldn't believe that, right?
No, people wouldn't believe that, but we've had conflict sometimes.
You know what I would say about that, though? I think the conflicts, probably both of us in different spaces and places in life, maybe it would have looked different how it goes, but I think both of us where we are, because we're so self-aware, and like even how we handle that is like... Because I need to process.
Deb, you still mad?
I need to process. And sometimes first of all, I always examine the why of like, why am I mad? Why do I feel the way I feel? That's just something that I do naturally, which is sometimes a little bit, y'all, it could be a little, it's a little taxing sometimes. But I do love that because it makes me not react the way that I used to, and respond in the way that I would normally respond. Though I know a lot of people wouldn't believe it, but my kids will tell you, right? I can go to 0 to 100 really quick, right? And I know that, and I'm very aware of that. I know where that comes from. I know why sometimes I respond that way, and I go into defense mode. So I think when I have something that doesn't make me feel good, I'm always examining me first, which again is EQ, right? I'm always examining my own emotion. Why do I feel this? You know, that kind of thing. And then I'm also examining the other person and where they are, and I want to understand and get that. So I always feel like if there is something between us, it's kind of like, yeah, I felt that way. And you like, oh, well, I felt that way. And it gives me an opportunity
to re-examine
to digest that and really be like, oh, okay, I understand where you are. Just in the moment that you are that way, it has to be communicated in a different way
Right.
or whatever. So I feel this way and you feel this way, which I
Right.
understand. So I think, again, and we talk about this often, is like really not just listening to listen or listen to respond, but really listening to have understanding of
Right.
where somebody is.
Right.
And when you have that, that's why EQ is so important, right? Your emotional intelligence is so important because when there is conflict, right? For me, I think it's testing the relationship. You don't really know.
Like when it's fun and parties and let's go eat, let's go get drinks. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, hey, you might have offended me, or I might not feel comfortable about this.
That.
But how do we navigate through those type of feelings? In my past, before I became a little more emotionally intelligent, I was cracking up because the other day, actually yesterday, Summer Walker posted all of these different like emotions. She has a song called Insane. Right? And oh my God, it's absolutely hilarious. Like the different variations, like, and it's talking about women, like the scenarios we like completely make up in our heads. And that was me. Like I'll be like, oh, she said that. Okay. Oh, he said that. All right, I got this. Like, and you start going back and forth
with yourself.
Like, never talk to that person. Don't even know how they feel about it. It's like you're bugging, sis. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that part is hilarious. I'm so happy that I'm learning to give more grace in those areas.
You are.
I am. Like
I usually get it a little bit more.
Even Deb.
I mean, like,
even Deb is surprised at the level of grace I've been extending people. Shout out to the Exchange podcast.
Shout out to the
listen, Deb is even like, Amber. I was like, listen,
that
I'm
was
trying.
Grace. That's grace.
I have literally given people grace to maybe come back another way or tell them, hey, listen, I don't really like this or this isn't cool and I feel like this could have been handled differently. But I'm finding that now because I'm more expressive, they kind of like start bowing out and in an abrupt manner in a way that they just like, oh, well, you know, but I'm not trying to go toe-to-toe with you. Amanda Seales just said this the other day. I think I sent this video to you. She was like, you know, it's obvious that no matter who you love, you may at some point have conflict with them.
Absolutely.
But approach the situation with the solution. Approach the situation in love. Yeah. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I think the in love part is a big thing.
And I definitely know I have worked on that. Like, I've definitely done my best to approach situations in love and even tone it down and try to understand and emphasize and understand that it's not always about you. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's not always about you. Yeah. It's about what other things or variables may be playing a part into why the person may be responding. And I can give you that grace to have that. However, you got to come back sensibly, like, you get what I'm saying, and with the solution, because I feel like this year I lost about 2 close relationships to me, which is okay. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm always okay, no matter what, in the end.
You are. I think
I am. I'm always
it's
okay.
Always going to be okay.
But here's the difference between me before. I used to be okay. Like, if I never speak to that person again, I'm good. You get what I'm saying? I still feel that way, but in another realm, meaning that I exhausted all options with that person. I feel like I've given them as much grace as I could possibly extend to them in my capacity.
Okay. Which is fair.
Yes, I think it's extremely fair. Like, I had someone who accused me of something that I know I did not do to them. And I even proved that, hey, I did not do this, yet they neglected to apologize. Like, you get what I'm saying, for that. And I told them I don't like that, and that hurt me, that you won't even apologize for something that you know that you've offended me for. You accuse me of something, you're attacking my character. And overall, I'm a stand-up person in your life. Like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. And whatever's going on with them, they didn't want to communicate at the time with it. They decided that they're not going to apologize to me. And instead, they felt that, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start talking to you as normal. I'm not that girl. You can't do that. Like, you get what I'm saying? I don't like elephants in the room. You're going to address your behavior. And you're going to apologize. You get what I'm saying? I can't move forward without the apology. I can tell myself and I can forgive you, but I cannot allow you close to me with that level of behavior, because honestly, I'm choosing the people that we understand each other in those realms now.
So reciprocity.
That's it. Like, it can't be,
that.
like, I can love you, and I don't have no hate even towards any of the individuals. You get what I'm saying? But I just understand that you and I cannot be a close relationship because we don't see morality and values the same. We don't, and that's a problem. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because that's how I function. I function based on principles, morality, and values. And if you put that aside just to get back to, because that's the thing, people like to rush back to the happiness. I just want us to get back to how it was. We can get there. However, we have to address what's going on right now.
Do you think things ever get back to how it was? And I ask that because I feel like relationships are always growing, right? So in one season of meaning happiness it's not always going to look the same. Right? If we're continuously growing, right? So like, and I'll use our relationship as a point, right? Mm-hmm. Over the evolution of our relationship is no way to go back to our relationship in 2018 or 19. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, though it was happy places and spaces, just where we are, we're different. Yeah. So I think happiness looks different. So to get back to happiness, is it even true to even say you could get back to a level of happiness, but is it ever going to be the same? Sometimes I think we're chasing a feeling that we had in a moment, not realizing that people are going to grow. Like, my kids are going to grow, right? How you interact with Dallas or Kayla, Queen.
Yes, shout out to Queen.
But how you interact with them, what I'm saying is going to be very different than how you interacted with them 3 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But see, that's why I say, like, it can be okay if we are functioning on the same principles, values, and morals. Yeah. Because if we understand that we are going to change, then you should know that my evolution won't allow me to pull back into the spaces that you're trying to get me to. You get what I'm saying? So I can't relate to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the funny thing is, the relationships that I don't have anymore, I've definitely grown from those places. So where maybe I might have been the outgoing friend who was at the bars, who was at the parties, who was always going, that was me at a point, because I was running from my life. I'm not running from my life anymore. I'm chasing it. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm chasing my dreams. I'm not running from anything. Like, before there was a point that the idea of being home was stressful to me because it was a place that I didn't want to be. Yeah. Now home is like, what? I can't wait to get home because I've created a space that is peaceful, that is loving. I love my kids, man. Like, I love being around my kids. Like, we laugh, we joke, just being in my own room, and it's just silent and it's just quiet, and I don't have to worry about some of the outer things that I was dealing with, like, you know, before. That's peace for me. So I'm not going to be the same. You're going to be looking at me crazy like, you don't want to go out? Nah, because I don't feel the need to go out like that no more, because I was going out because I didn't want to be there. Now I want to be where I am.
So let me ask you this. I guess once you were aware of the things you wanted to change, right? EQ wise, right? Your emotional intelligence. How did you tackle that? Like, what did that look like from the kind of, hey, I'm about to give you all this work right here, and it's going to be in this manner and form.
I was reminded how I treated somebody in my evolution last night.
Oh, let's hear it. I'm ready.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
No, you do not. So I had a friend that I used to talk to, and I'm telling you, like, it was a moment, like 2019, I always say, I don't like to coin it as the worst year of my life, but boy, it was a challenging year. It was just like horrible. Like, you're gonna say, it's some days that sometimes when I was actually looking back at pictures, like, from it, and I'll skip past them really fast because the trauma of it, like, just really riles me up or whatever. So I have to, like, skip, right? Yeah. So the person said to me, he was like, you know, I was really hurt because you were just so abrupt with me. And I remember where I was in that. I remember feeling like a lot of my friends turned their back on me when I needed them the most. I felt like how did I even get to this place? I was married. I had things going right. My business was thriving. How is every single thing falling apart? Mm-hmm. And he had a separate situation going on, but I was just tired of hearing it. Like, because I'm like, okay, how am I going to fix this stuff? Like, I'm tired. And I went to a place of isolation. Like, I didn't want to date.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be physically dating, like doing nothing with people. I just really wanted to solely focus on my goals. And I hurt him in communicating that because I was just abrupt. Like, I don't want to talk to you no more. Like, unless you got this going on, like, just leave me alone. I just was very nasty. And I actually had to apologize to him.
I love
last
that,
night,
though.
I did. I said, I really apologize. I said, it's so crazy. I know how bad that is because I've suppressed that so deep. I don't even remember I said that to you.
Wow.
I literally did not remember. I said that to him. I was like, and he was so nice to me all the time. Like, you could ask me. He said, if all this stuff he was going through, you could have asked me for help and I would have gave it to you. I said, but I was in the place that nobody could help me anymore.
Wow.
I needed to figure out what was going on with me and get to the meat of it. So, growth can be ugly. You can hurt people in your growth, right? I've had to apologize to my ex-husband for hurting him in my own evolution before too, you know? So it's like, you can hurt people while you're growing, but you still have to be committed to the change that you want to see for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a bad place, man. I had to go move back home. I lost my business. I had a lot of stuff going on. And the only way to get that back was like, I had to isolate. No, I don't want to go out. No, I don't want to spend money. No, I don't. I had to say no. Everybody, oh, let's hang out. Nah. Oh, you working tonight? Yup. Oh, dang, you don't have no free time. Sure don't. Like, and had to stick to that. And I did that for like 4 or 5 months. And I thank God that I did that. Like in that time span, I saved like $10,000 to $15,000, like, and I literally got myself completely back on my feet, moved back out of my dad's house, got my kids back together, like, so evolving and knowing where you are emotionally at that time. I located where I was. I was unhappy. I was messed up, but I did hurt people even though during my growth. Like, and I know sometimes you don't want to come across as judgmental while you're growing, but I feel like because you've watched me grow.
Absolutely. And vice versa.
I thank God for your patience with me because
no, I think when you have... I think when you've gone through those stages and places yourself, you have a level of empathy for other people going through that, right? And I love that. I love what you said, that during that growth period, and I don't even want to call it isolation. I want to call it self-focus because I think it makes you look, when you see you, right? And you like, okay, I don't like this about me. Or I don't like what I'm doing.
They're not
I don't like that
nowhere,
pattern.
right?
I don't like that. It takes a lot to look you in the face, right? And I know what that looked like for me. At times still looks like for me in certain areas where I have to really reach back and be like, I hate this. Not hate me, but I hate this about me. And I really have to figure out how to change this. And sometimes doing that work takes inner work, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't involve anybody else. Everybody's not going to understand, right? As you're building those skills, as you're coping with whatever you're coping with and growing through whatever you're growing through. But I love the courage to do it.
Yeah, because I've realized, like, even in the process, and this is something I was talking to somebody recently, I was like, you got too many distractions. Distractions, bro? Listen.
Man,
it was always trying to suppress through some level of element, whether it's a person, whether it's a place, whether it's a thing.
Oof.
Like, seriously. Like, so, like, once I was like, yo, like, you always buying clothes to make yourself feel better or look better. You want to look the part. But that ain't true. That's not where you are. You get what I'm saying? I was working in an overnight warehouse. What I'm being cute for? Wear the stuff. And you know what I did? I went thrifting for all, and it's nothing wrong with thrifting. Shout out to thrifting.
I love thrifting. Don't be like that.
Nah, I know, but like I went thrifting for like the things that I needed just to work at the job. You get what I'm saying? Like I stripped the beauty part away because I wasn't trying to look the part no more. Like you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Places, going to bars, going to restaurants, like just always looking like I'm on the go, living our best life. You're not living your best life. Chill out. It's okay. You can live it later. And boy, did I. Like, you get what I'm saying? But saying, nah, I'm not going to those places. People connecting and trauma bonding with people that are in lower places. Or, hey, I really felt at a point I was the person that was like what made people feel better about their own situations.
So they liked your brokenness.
Yes, loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Ate it up off a plate. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Most people do.
Yeah,
Most people
but
do.
and then once I'm
That aren't
not
healthy.
once I'm not that person anymore, you're kind of squirming like, oh, well, dang, I was enjoying your show. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like I had to really like strip myself of everything, like no talk to nobody, don't do this with anybody, just pure focus. And I thank God for that. Even in my emotional intelligence now, like before I used to be a person that I always felt like I had to have some type of interaction with a male, like something. I always need to talk to somebody. I always need to have that other side. When I tell you now that I be cool with my hotline bling being dry, I don't, because I don't want false nothing. And I made a decision that I'm not creating long-term memories with short-term people. So
Child.
I'm not the girl who's, if I'm invited to a Christmas party, I have to have a date.
No.
If I have my birthday, we're about to do something dope for my birthday.
Yeah.
I don't need a male there that isn't really, really about me. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not having friendships just to have somebody to go hang out with.
Yeah.
Everything in my life is intentional and is purposeful. And if it's not, I'm cool. Like, you get what I'm saying? Because I have the ability to get rid of these people fast. They be like, out of here.
I love that, because I think people don't, and we talked about this before, I think people don't realize that they have people addictions.
Oh
And when I say that, most people be like, what do you mean? And I know, because
Emotional dependence.
You had emotional dependence on people, right? So, I always share, so I've been single for quite some time, but like this year, probably actually almost over a year, right? This whole 2021, I didn't date anyone, didn't talk to anyone.
She sure didn't.
I mean, like, I haven't been
I tried to get her.
I know, she did.
I tried to get her,
but
though.
I haven't been on one single date with anyone. And I've learned not to occupy my time with people, like you said, that are temporary people, just to pass time, right? And I decided to refocus the time and energy that in the past and invest in me, right? And I know people say that a lot of times, like, they'll be like, girl, I'm single, I've been single. I'll be like, really? But you're really not single. And I want to say this too, especially the ladies that are out there, when we're saying like we're single, but you talk to Jerome, you going out with Dave, you going out with whatever. And if you're in a place to do that, that's not at all what I mean. What I mean is you have to make sure you're in a place to even date. Like, that was my question to myself. If the man that I would like in my life, what he looks like, at least in my head, right? And I don't know. I always say, Lord, give me what I need, not necessarily what I even think I want. But the characteristics that man possesses, am I the woman that he would be seeking? Was my question to myself. Like, okay, outwardly, you know what I mean? Beauty is really only skin deep.
It is.
And as my dad was saying, ugly is to the bone. And I understand what he meant by that, though, right? He used to say that and laugh, but what he meant by that was what was ugly to the bone was what's really inside of you comes out. So it doesn't matter what this looks like. I can be gorgeous. As we know, there are plenty of women, whether from stars, just to regular, the next person next to you, who are beautiful on the outside. And I'm going to say fellas too, who got the body, the back, the you know what I mean? The V, the everything, but that's empty, right? So I started looking at me, and it's hard to look at you, especially when other people necessarily don't see the full you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they've already created and don't talk about how social media.
Oh my God.
People just feel like they are, like, I'm not a character. Like, honestly, guys, what you see really is what you get. If you met me in person, you're like, yo, this girl is really the same person. Like,
I'm gonna have a conversation with you.
She gonna be healing somebody in the corner. I'm gonna be cracking jokes on somebody. Like, that's just like what it is. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And I feel like even in my personal experience, I feel that, we do have the ability to control what we want people to see on social media.
Oh,
I do
absolutely.
my best to be a little transparent with people. Like, I am like, everybody, the body out, ooh, everybody out. Yeah, but there was a point I went without working out for like 3-4 months. Not in the gym, not focused. I put a little something on, but I'm still cute. But
cute.
right? But I'm back in the gym, lost about 15 pounds and stuff like that. I'm back on my Dean, but I'm open enough to tell people like, hey, we're not always on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not always motivated. We're not always thriving. We're not. I don't ever want people to feel that that's something that's always going on with me. I am always discipline, because regardless of whether I'm motivated, I know I still got to fill my orders. I still got to get this stuff out to people. So I have that level of discipline, but I'm not always motivated to do things or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I offer transparency, but I feel that people assign you to a character. So people feel like, oh, people have really told themselves that, that's just me on social media. Oh, that's just me here. Why are you two different people?
I don't know.
And don't get me wrong. Now, my innermost secrets, my dating life, my super personal life, no, I don't feel compelled to share to certain degrees because these dudes don't even be making it. But that's another story.
We're going to talk about relationships.
We'll talk about that on another episode. Yeah. But still, too, I'm not in a place yet. Like, I have to feel secure in certain areas before I decide to put people out on some display or whatever. So that is a part of me that I'm just not confident yet to share my dating life or whatever, because nobody's solid enough for me to share in that space. But like I said, like, there are some places, I mean, like, people like see my kids sometimes and they can't believe how big they are. Why? Because I don't share my kids all the time. But you always see me with my kids. Like, if you see me in person, you're like, yo.
And if they know you, like,
exactly.
I think that's the misconception of social media is like you said, we have the opportunity to share what we would like to share. But I don't have to share my whole world with you either. Yeah. You don't need to know my every step.
Right. But people think about you or whatever, for instance, like, you're very, I call Deb a tree hugger, because she is.
Oh my God. Y'all gotta tell me. Y'all need to write into the show, or you can ask questions too on Spotify too, and I think Apple now.
Deb is a tree hugger.
Why am I a tree hugger?
She's a tree hugger. She is like into nature, one with self, her invested in me. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely an absolute beautiful thing. But that's what people see, right? Because most of you is very spiritual, self-aware, whatever, but we laugh about very silly, wild,
I am super goofy.
Dark.
Oh yeah, I couldn't.
Maybe I'm a little dark. I'm more dark.
You might be a little bit more dark, but I think
we laugh about certain things, but a lot of people. But I'm gonna be honest.
You don't think that people think I'm funny?
No, I don't think it's that they don't think you funny. They don't see that side of you, right?
Okay.
So.
But
just
they don't know me.
Right, correct. But just on the outside looking in, it's kind of like, oh, she's a little more serious, or she's a this or that.
I do get serious.
Me, I don't know what people be thinking. I'm a little shout out, outspoken, fun, or whatever. But sometimes online it could come across, oh, she's aggressive. But I'm a very tender person. I'm a very loving person, though. So
I get aggressive.
Oh yeah, they do. Cause I'm like, I'm a boss. You know, that thing. But I'm very like I have a strong level of humility. And honestly, that shows on or offline. It doesn't matter. When people actually take the moment to really, really talk to me or get to know me, like there's so many levels and sides of me. I do my best to display them all. But when guys meet me, they're like, oh, you're just like this big boss lady. I'm like, I'm regular. Like, I go home to look ugly in peace. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that my son will tell you, Mommy, that drives him crazy when I say it. Mommy, stop saying that. Please don't say you're ugly. You're not. I'm like, yeah, I am right now. So.
I'm going to go home.
Right, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I am a regular, smegular, degular person, too. Yeah. Like, you get what I'm saying? And if you assign this character to me, and then when you meet me and you like, oh, wait, but... she actually means what she says.
See, I get the opposite. So again, and I've had the experience myself to on social media. That's why social media is very tricky for me, right? Because there are people that on social media, I'm like, I feel like I love what they're doing.
Yeah, sure.
I love the person that they are. And then you have the opportunity to meet them or have a conversation with them. And I'm like, I'm like, who is this? Like, oh my God. Yeah. So that's just, that's more for me disturbing or disappointing, to say the least, because there's somebody I met in person and I was just like, I'm not getting any of what, you know what I mean? Even led me to even be in a position to meet them. Like, you know what I mean? And I was disappointed. I felt like, oh, I would have never came here, or I would have never been in this person's presence had it not been for what you kind of post, and where I kind of felt like, oh, we can kind of, you know what I mean, interact, and it would be something good, you know what I mean? But I get the opposite. I want to know, not that I want to know everything about everyone, because I don't think social media is for that. Social media is, for most people, a business brand of what they're selling, what value they are bringing to people's lives, or what they do as far as giftings and talents or whatever. I don't think it should be a display like, you know, I know that people probably don't get, and my kids will tell you, goofy, and you know, goofy is probably they come, love to laugh, sometimes can't stop laughing, right? I don't know if I always display that on social media, but again, my page is not that, right? It's like, my page is really about what we do here and the healing portion of me. And we all have layers. So it's like, you're not going to know the whole part of me by watching. Like, I wouldn't know everything about you watching your social media. I can take social media and then take you, because I know you. I'm like, yeah, there go Amber. She having it. She like, nope, about to go in, about to get it.
Post sign right now, about to blickety block right now.
I'm like, Lord have mercy. But back to emotional intelligence. The one thing I want the guests to think about, and this has been something that's, I think, stretched me this year. Two things. I took an emotional intelligence quiz.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Did I share that with you?
I think you sent me yours. I think I took one. It was some areas I needed to work on.
I mean, there's always going to be areas to work on, right? So, and I want to tell the guests that, right? As we're working through emotional and EQ, right? There's always going to be areas. Like, there's always going to be stuff, even in the healing process. As I heal, the more I'll be like, ooh, I look back, I'll be like, I don't really like that. You know, I need to fix that, or I need to, you know, build my muscle in that particular thing, like conflict, or there's still certain things, right? But I took an emotional intelligence quiz to find the areas which I was kind of lacking or lower in. One being boundaries. That's why for 2021, I read that book about boundaries.
That was a great book.
Really, really good book. Really suggest it. Actually, I'm going to tag it in here so people can listen. I'm also going to tag the quiz that I did because it gave me a list of things that I was like, you know what? Intentionally, I'm going to work on this area, right? One of those things being boundaries and learning how to say no. Because I can be very passive aggressive in that area. I love to help people. One. Two.
You could tell me no.
Two, I mean, I learned to tell, yeah, I know. I'm like, no, I know. I mean, but I love to help people, so I'm always going to be a help. That's,
You're
you know.
serving. You have a servant.
That's, yeah, I'm literally a servant. I understand my purpose. I understand that. But understanding that will
within
also...
your capacity, though.
Capacity. That I have not done a good job with.
Yeah.
I have not done a good job.
I'm getting better with that.
I'm getting better, but I also, again, mine kind of ran a little bit deeper, because when I started to examine that, I learned in one of my other coaching programs, the Healing Academy, like where that comes from, right? And where that stems from, and why I had been overextending myself, right? I had this false identity of this hero complex that
Don't say the.
I know.
They don't want to be.
But here's the thing about that, right?
Yeah.
For you, it might be very easy. For me, you know, I lost my sister at 12. She died in my arms. I had this thing in my head unconsciously for my entire life of like, can't save her, been trying to save people my whole life. Right. So in that would always make me overcommit in areas,
I hate
right?
Overcommitment.
And it would make me say yes to things that I knew I should be saying no to. And I had to learn, and I'm still learning, y'all. So I want y'all to be.
So let me ask you a question.
Of course.
You feel so? I would say, or did you say that emotional intelligence is mostly locating where you are, where it is that you need the work, or where you've like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think so.
Is it the where?
EQ is always going to be location of you first, right?
Okay.
So it is managing your own emotions first, right? So I had to locate me, right? And then the location of like, hey, this is my issue. So now when someone wants something from me, I'm always evaluating that, not only with my own emotion, like, okay, where am I? How am I, doing in this area? Am I able to give that to someone without feeling like, oh, well, because then that later on in life for me turned into, dang, I'm giving, and never getting back, right? Yeah. So it showed up in a lot of different places, but I had to do the work, like you said, the where of I had to locate where that even came from for me. It wasn't even it was like, yo, this is childhood trauma that is producing something in my adulthood, and that was in business, overcommitting. So I be doing people's work.
Yeah.
Child.
Managing emotions though, like that for me,
everything.
Yeah, it really, like, I thank God that I am better at that, because like I'm telling you, bro, like when people used to do stuff to me, it wasn't good. Yeah. Like I would just like go to a whole nother place because it's like because I was so easily offended. Now, I would say, don't get me wrong, there are places that I do get offended. Like recently, I just had someone do something very weird. And I don't internalize it. I just look at them like, you're not in a place to be vocal about yourself. And I think another thing that's important with emotional intelligence is learning that every situation does not have to be managed the same way.
That's good.
Because like I used to have like this one, oh, you offended me, I'm cutting you off, that's it. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. That's exactly how I used to deal with every single thing. But now it's kind of like, even if I don't decide to reconnect or allow the person close, I want them to be aware of what that thing is that won't allow them to be close to me. Yeah. Like instead of just, oh, you got to figure it out, passive aggressive. You sit on what you did, and when it comes to me, no. I told you. Yeah. You are fully aware. And based on that, no. There are some people that I don't waste my time or my words because I don't feel like it's worth the energy for me.
I give everybody it.
No, I don't though. Like, because recently, I literally almost had like 2 cases of the same thing. One, I gave a full explanation. One, I felt like we already had the conversation. So now, based on the conversations that we had, you understand why I will never speak to you again. Yeah. And we're cool. Like, you just got to be okay with that. Like, because it's not worth it to me. And I feel like, so in this particular area, the person will watch me on social media, and I think that's weird because it's like, you're not going to reach out to my phone, but you're going to watch me on social media. So, and that means I'm going to cut that part of you off because I don't feel like you need to watch me if you're not going to converse with me. I just think that's weird.
I mean, I understand that.
So I'm going to deny you access in that part, but the phone line is open if you want to actually communicate. But after we had that conversation, more than likely we won't have another conversation.
That's it. But I think this is the thing about EQ that I'm learning and have been learning throughout 2021, and I know it will continue 2022, is that again, locating you and kind of just making that decision. I'm a voice memo type person.
Oh yes, send a voice note. I'm like, I ain't sending no
I do.
Because I'm a cuss.
Here's the thing. I never
No, I
curse.
don't curse.
I definitely don't curse.
Yeah.
But I do.
You want them to hear the tone,
I want you to hear the tone. I want you to hear where I am. But I think a lot of
go back and
times
listen.
you can go back and listen. And I also feel like people in their own growth, like you said, you have to go back and apologize in that space. Had he ever communicated that to you, whether you felt it in that place or not, as you were growing, you may have reverted to what he had said in that moment. So I just think it's valuable, and this is just me, valuable to give people that information. Probably like a year and a half ago, I had to do that to someone. And I've done it to plenty of people that I just felt like, okay, this is kind of like where our relationship stops. But I do want you to have an understanding of how you've impacted me, how you've affected me, and what that looks like. Because in all, I think I'm hoping that you won't continue to do that, or that will plant some seed that when you are in relationship with anyone or talking to anybody or whatever, friendships or even business, that you would reflect on that. Some of the most crucial things that I reflect on right now were things that were told to me when I was very young that I probably couldn't receive them, but I love that they were able to, speak that. And now we're kind of in this DM place where we kind of DM people or text people. But I feel like tonality, really hearing where a person is and hearing a person's voice can always kind of change that trajectory of what's going on. So I would say give it to you because I don't want it to seem like it's I'm coming. No, because I really want you to understand. I hate when I'm offended in a place and people don't, because a lot of times with EQ, people's EQs are low. Like they are unaware.
Yeah, because nobody's saying anything. Like I had to have a tough conversation with somebody that was close to me, and I didn't agree with how they broke up with someone, right? And they broke up with them, but you're still staying connected with the person, but you said out loud, I don't want to be responsible for them anymore. And you're telling me this, but that other person does not know you said that or feel that way. And it's wrong. It's emotionally manipulative to do that. And I said, listen, as a woman, I have to speak up for that woman and say, what you're doing isn't right.
Incorrect.
That's not right. That's not cool. Out your mouth, you said you don't want to be responsible for a person. So if you don't want to be responsible for a person, don't dibble and dabble and play with their lives like that. They have children. They have children. The children already have a personal experience with their father. And then you are coming into their lives like being around, like that's not right. You don't want the representation of what a man looks like to their mother to come from you in a negative manner. Yeah. That's not fair. That's not right. If you don't want to be responsible for that person, leave them alone. That's just it. Like it's like that goes back to people addiction and emotional dependence. That's unfair to do to somebody. Yeah. And I personally, I'm gonna be that friend to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. Even people, and there was a point in time that I wasn't walking on a straight line. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, where I had a lot going on. But I had friends who was kind of going through the same thing, but I'm evolving from that. So I'm telling them, like, yo, you got to make a decision. Either you want to be with that person or you don't. But don't continue to keep them in your life and use the parts, the pieces that
emotional
you need.
Dependence.
Yeah, like that work for you, but you're not really all in the relationship. Yeah. That's not right. And I feel like if you're growing, it's only fair to tell people you love where they're being, where it's error. And here's the thing. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking from judgment. I'm telling you I was doing that and that's not right.
Yeah. I love that. First of all, I love that about the exchange place because
excuse me.
I really want to focus, and especially this season, I want to focus on the audience having mirrors and also windows, right?
Yeah.
And like mirrors of, hey, this is where you are, and we can relate. Like, yo, I've been there. Yep. I'm not telling you this when you guys listen. Right. I'm telling you from the experience of being in ugly places. I'm telling you from me looking and being like, oh, I didn't like myself, right? But I also want to give the window of like, hey, this is where like location, this is where you are, but this is the possibility of where to go. You know what I mean? And where you could go. And we still growing. So, you know what I mean? Giving that. I love that. But I want to go back to what I want to tell the listeners. Number one, I am going to share. So when y'all look in, whether it's YouTube or wherever you guys are listening or watching from, I'm going to include that EQ test because not only did it locate me.
I'm going to take that again.
You need to take it again because I sent it to you. I think you took it.
I think it was months ago. Though,
it was months ago.
Was that around the time you sent me my love language test?
I think so. It's like the beginning. Maybe it's the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, send it to me again.
I'll send it again. So, and you guys take that. The other thing that's blessed me this year has been journaling. And even though I'm not a perfect journaler, for the people who journal every single day, and I've been trying to.
Bless y'all, Moesha's.
I know, but emotionally it does. So my mentor has us do this and I think I don't know if I shared this
you told me.
With you, but to ask myself to locate myself emotionally daily. So it's a daily thing that I try to do. That doesn't always work on every day, and my coach will get me for saying that, but it doesn't. It doesn't always work on every day, but I do it a lot. And sometimes I'm not, most of the time I'm writing it down and keeping it. It's a daily log, but it basically is like, hey, what am I happy about? What am I sad about? What am I anxious about? And what am I, glad about? And in that, I know it sounds like really small. Like it sounds like, well, but you won't believe if you're honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like when sometimes I wake up, I'll be like, oh, I'm just pissed about this and that and whatever. And just even kind of the outpour of that. After I'm finished, I'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I don't feel like that anymore.
I wrote myself a letter the end of 2018, and probably, I want to say a few weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, I went back to read the letter. And the letter was very intense. It was talking about how I saw my relationships, how I saw my relationship, and I mean in every angle, like what I wanted my relationship to be like with God, what I wanted my relationship to be like with my children, how I wanted my friendships to be, how I wanted my family to be, and how I wanted my romantic place to be. It was so beautiful to read it because almost everything that I wrote down has changed.
Yeah.
With the exception of my romantic life, that's just like a challenge. Like, oh God.
That's coming. That's coming.
But honestly, like I've changed that, and I'm young still. Like I don't like. I tell myself, and maybe I'm gonna still be saying I'm young when I'm in my 50s, but
I thought you was about to say 40. I was about to
no,
say, girl,
no,
I'm
young
joking.
40s is still 40s is young. Like we are in new normals. Like 34. Like, I guess back then, because life was so much more serious, I'm like, that's old. That's not old. Like, 34, I'm relearning so many different things about myself. I have time to find love. And the love that I want, I give myself time. Like the Pastor Daniel said, I still want it. Like, no, Pastor Todd said that. Pardon me. Pastor Todd said, I still want it. But I'm willing to be patient, like, with it. Even if it comes later. Like, I don't want to just jump into anything, like, in any level, business, nothing. Like, that it just feels rushed, or I had to manipulate to be there. Nah, I just wanted to come gracefully and exactly like how it's supposed to come. But I felt so good reading that letter. Honestly, the letter made me cry. I was like, yo, this is crazy. I actually shared it with someone who was going through a few things, and I was like, this is a letter I wrote myself in 2018, just so you could see how your growth will change.
Yeah. So I think along with the journaling, even that is proof, right? Sometimes writing things out, writing your emotions out, whether that is where I am or even where I want to go. Right. You don't know how powerful that is. And think about, not that you would be doing that every day, right? But think about if you kept doing that throughout your growth. It changes. It's been changing me. I'm literally, in 2022, I'm almost nervous of what's coming because I am so self-aware and so like, hey, why do I feel like this? Or like really just aware of where I am, right? That I pray and I hope that as I continue to grow, that I'm able to receive the things that I want to receive, that I'm in a place to receive that. I want to leave the listeners with something, and you kind of coined that. And somebody else said this, and I can't remember who it is. Like, I don't want to go fast. I want to go correctly.
Oh, that was Rick Ross. He
Rick
said,
Ross,
I don't
yeah.
want to move fast. I just want to move correctly. Yeah.
And I love that because I think about even an emotional intelligence, when you guys take your IQ or EQ, tests, like, don't be hard on yourself and tell yourself
grace.
the truth,
Yeah, give
right?
yourself grace.
So you can locate really where you are, so you can, you know, at the end of 2022 or the end of the Evolve season, go back and be like, you know what? I'm going to look back at that test and see how far I've grown. So what would you, as we wrap up, what would you leave the listeners with?
I would just say, like, but basically what emotional intelligence is like managing your emotions, understanding the location from where you are, where another person is, and just being sure, like, and honoring your feelings. Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm big on that. Like, what you feel is real. Trusting your, like, that's a big thing. Like, we have to trust what we feel, because that's a huge thing that people don't. It's like, if something made you feel uncomfortable, trust that made you uncomfortable. Now, you don't have to react to it. You can, like, evaluate and then respond to it, but trust what you feel and handle it accordingly. As long as you aren't, being abusive and, like, getting your point across, but you're very firm and honest with how you feel, don't have the courage to express that.
Yeah. Build that courage muscle.
Yeah, it ain't easy, but
it's not. But it's worth it.
It's definitely worth it. And I find that people respected me more once I started getting extremely honest. Like, my whole relationship with my dad has changed as a result of that. Just saying, like, Dad, you have to love me as an adult now, not like your little daughter.
I think too, and I'll leave the listeners the thing that I found with being more transparent, being more honest where I am, and kind of saying, like, when I don't feel comfortable, when I feel insecure in the area. It's allowed me to enter into, like, partnerships that are pure and that people really know where I am. Like, there's no guessing. I'm not putting on a face to say, hey, I'm here, but I'm really here. I'm like, look, this is me. This is where I am. I'm working on it. I'm aware of it, but I haven't perfected it. And I feel like people, like you said, respect that so much more because they know where you are, right? So locate yourself, y'all.
Absolutely.
So thank y'all. Another one down. We will see you next week.
Yeah.
Evolve, y'all.
Evolve.